You certainly had a lot of happenstance to work closely with Senator Bayh. What are your memories of him as a person?
I remember Birch Bayh as a wonderful friend who was of good personality and goodwill, and we shared a great number of experiences day by day on the floor of the United States Senate, as well as in the Intelligence Committee of the Senate when it was first constructed, and he was one of the founding members of that situation. We had opportunities to think together very frequently. Our votes were on different sides of the aisle, but at the same time, I appreciated the fact that I had a good Hoosier colleague with me.
I think a lot of people are saying now that he was well respected on both sides. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I believe he was well respected on both sides of the aisle. There came a time in my political career in which I was serving as mayor of Indianapolis. It was the 7th year of an 8-year of service with term limits, but at the same time, I had not any intent of running for the United States Senate in that particular year, but literally was drafted by the Republican Party to run against Senator Bayh. And even that was a very spirited campaign, in which we were both walking the streets of Indiana in parades and engaging in debates. It was a contest that I lost by about 4 percentage points, 50 to 46. But it nevertheless set the stage for my opportunity to have name-face recognition and defeat Senator Vance Harkey 2 years subsequently. So I saw Birch Bayh in a different context there as a political competitor, but one even then who I enjoyed being with.
As far as the activities that he was in while he was in the Senate, I mean, certainly very important. The author of 2 constitutional amendments. Did you find yourself able to back him, though you were on the opposite side of the aisle?
My recollection is that I did vote in favor of the amendments that he proposed, and I admired the fact that he took seriously his initial assignments on the Constitutional Subcommittee, or whatever the name of it was in the Senate. He took those opportunities to think through, really, what might happen and make our Constitution really more up-to-date. And obviously, I salute the fact that he had the 2 amendments that came to pass. Historically, the only time this has happened with a senator.
I think some people now, in looking back on some of the legislation in which he was involved, would say that even though they called it progressive back then, maybe some people would call it more common sense now, like the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Certainly, I think not only Hoosiers, but all of America at this time probably look back on that and say, we needed somebody like Birch Bayh to vote for these things.
I think that's a very good point. I think that Senator Birch Bayh, I would not want to claim as a moderate or a conservative or a radical or what have you, but he was a person of common sense, had a very good historical sense, and likewise a very good sense of what was appropriate at that time and needed, both in our Constitution and in our legislative framework.
As an institution, we have not lived up to the expectations of our constituents to make excellence in governance our top priority.
An officer and a gentleman, father and faith leader, a mayor and senator, a diplomat and legendary role model to millions. Richard Lugar, former U.S. Senator from Indiana and former mayor of Indianapolis, died Sunday. You just heard the words of Governor Eric Holcomb upon learning of Lugar's death.
Think seriously about public service. It may be public service at the local level.
as a school board member or a city council member, quite apart from a member of Congress or an advisor to the president.
The local level is where Lugar began his political career in the 1960s. And you just heard him recall his place in the Indianapolis Board of School Commissioners when encouraging young people in an interview with Indy Politics, December 2018.
I'm especially honored to have this opportunity to serve for the next 4 years as mayor of the city of Indianapolis.
In 1967, he was elected mayor of Indianapolis and served 2 terms.
We take a great deal for granted always, and this we must not do because planning is of the essence if we're to have the right sort of growth in this city. And we're to be a part of a country that is strong and that we appreciate.
In 1970, under his leadership, the city and county governments merged into an arrangement called Unigov, which is the same government that is operating in Indianapolis in 2019.
The federal government was going to try to adopt a so-called revenue sharing.
He also served as president of the National League of Cities, and that's where he learned about some surplus money the federal government had. They planned to redistribute that money.
I learned that the amount of money that Indianapolis is likely to receive was just about the amount of money that was being suggested for a new stadium.
The new stadium was Market Square Arena.
This would, in fact, become a central focus, not only for basketball, but for sports in Indianapolis, in the heart of the city.
Lugar is credited partially with helping keep the Pacers in Indianapolis and helping them become an NBA team.
I had not any intent of running for the United States Senate in that particular year, but literally was drafted by the Republican Party.
In 1974, he ran for U.S. Senate against Birch Bayh.
Even that was a very spirited campaign, in which we were both walking the streets of Indiana in parades and engaging in debates. It was a contest that I lost by about 4 percentage points.
In 1976, he ran again for U.S. Senate.
At some point during the summer of 1976, Vance Harkey gave up concerted attempts to establish a positive campaign as a public servant. Instead, he has chosen to treat the general election campaign of 1976 as a form of demolition derby.
This time he won and stayed for 6 terms, 1977 to 2013.
I'll always be thankful to Dick for taking me, a new junior senator, under his wing, including travels together to review some of his visionary work, the destruction of the Cold War arsenals in the former Soviet Union.
Former President Obama speaking in 2013, the year Lugar left office.
His legacy, though, is the thousands of missiles and bombers and submarines and warheads that no longer threaten us because of his extraordinary work. And our nation and our world are safer because of this statesman.
He was defeated in the Republican primary by Richard Murdoch. The seat ultimately went to Joe Donnelly.
The Honorable Richard G. Lugar.
Obama gave Lugar the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
And in a time of unrelenting partisanship, Dick Lugar's decency, his commitment to bipartisan problem-solving stand as a model of what public service ought to be.
Since 2013, Lugar helped build the Lugar Center.
Our Lugar Center, a think tank that I founded trying to work for bipartisan cooperation, founded an index to rate people on their basis to second each other's bills across the aisle. It's making a little bit of headway, but I wouldn't overstate it.
Certainly one of his indelible legacies will be the Lugar series that was created for Republican women and training them and getting them involved in public service.
Indiana Republican Party Chairman Kyle Hupfer.
And you now are into the second or third generation of that, and that impact will be felt here in Indiana and around the world for years to come as well.
Lugar may be best remembered for the common sense and gentlemanly Hoosier values that helped get him elected and which may have played a part in his defeat. While he may have left the Senate, he never left public service, and he never stopped believing in those values.
Be prepared, really, to do your duty in behalf of others, because public service does offer opportunities to make a difference in the lives of a lot of people, and that is very satisfying.
I'm Chris Davis.